Hello, lovely people, and welcome to my channel again. Today I thought I would go over my Inktober 2018 pictures. I showed them at the beginning of my Inktober videos as we went along, but this time I thought I'd just do a retrospective. I would go over each picture and just let you know how I did it and any thoughts I had about the process. So for Inktober, I bought this little journal. It's a field artist watercolor paper journal, and I like it a lot. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it and do future Inktobers in this, so it'll be just my Inktober book. Anyway, this was my first Inktober, and I thought it went really well. And this is Nicola, my black cat, staying just out of the camera, supervising. Anyhow, this is the first picture I did. I did a video on it. It was my first video on this channel at all. And I like it. What I did was I used a Tombow ink, water-soluble ink marker, scribbled on a plate, and used that diluted in water for the background. And then I used India ink with a paintbrush to do the Pussy Willow twigs, and I used an artist masking solution to mask the little white cotton ball fluffs of the Pussy Willows beforehand. And at the end I took off the masking solution and then did the little husks around the willows. I really like the way this one came out. I'm very fond of it. So the next couple of days I just tried to learn what line art was. And so I did a bunch of drawings of calla lilies, and then I came and did this. And I'm very, very happy with it. I feel like it works. And then for this, again, I just used ink pens. These both are done with the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pens, and I like them a lot. The reference I used for the skull is an app called Skelly that I was shown in an Anatomy for Artists class, and so it's a lovely app. It is a skeleton, and then all the joints are movable, so you can set up the skeleton in different poses and see how the bones relate. And then this was done from a picture I took in Hawaii a year or so ago. It's a nene, which is their state bird. It is basically descended from a flock of Canada geese that got blown off course, landed in Hawaii, stayed there, and then evolved in their own direction. So it's kind of cool. This one I don't like. This, I was playing with those Tombow ink brush pens, diluting in water and trying to use them a little as watercolors and a little as putting down the ink and then spreading it out with water. And I ended up not liking very much. I'd used one of the artist pens to do the outlines, so it looks kind of like a children's book illustration, and I guess it works, but it really wasn't what I was envisioning. This, however, I really do like. It's a picture of tree fungus, which I used an actual quill, a dip pen, to do all these little line work and the little tiny dots along the edges of the fungus top. And then I diluted the India ink and water and used a brush to do the rest of that. It's from a photograph that I found on the internet somewhere. And I really like the way it came out. I think I learned how to use a quill pen, at least rudimentarily. And yeah, I'm going to have to practice with the quill pen some more. But that's pretty cool. This was a day I got home tired and didn't have a lot of time, but I think he's cute. Turtle in a top hat. And then this, I really like the effect of the bird with the highlight in the background. This is going to bother me forever because the wing anatomy is wrong. So I like what I did, but it has some problems. And then the pictographs here, Hawaiian pictographs. Yeah, I was really tired. And I'm learning that the simpler the thing you do, the more it has to really be done well. Otherwise, it just looks like a 5-year-old did it. So that is what it is. This was done again with a quill pen, dip pen, so it's a little bit minimal, but I was just kind of practicing the different lines I could make with the quill dip pen. It's different views of plumeria, a Hawaiian flower. And, you know, as a composition, it's not great, but it was definitely good practice. And then I went back to the Pitt Artist Pens for this, and I'm going to have to revisit this because I'm still having that very beginner instinct, which is to outline everything, and that really doesn't work with feathers. So, something to think about. Maybe try again a little later. I like both of these. This is a frilled lizard, and this is, I don't remember the species, but they're both from photographs I found or from combinations of photographs I found. And I like how they both came out. I feel like I'm starting to get the hang of using these artist pens. The same here. I really like the top mushroom. The incorrect perspective in the front one is going to drive me crazy forever, but overall, I think it's decent. And then I did a video on this one, and I really like him. He's not quite right, but in the video I show some of the footage I took of him at the aquarium, and I'm basing this largely on that. And he was amazing. He came out, and I'd never seen an octopus come out and be quite so present in an aquarium before, so it was really cool. So I'm very fond of him for that reason. These were both days when I got home late and tired and just wanted to get pen onto paper, and then that was that. So the snails are just kind of hanging out. I put the leaves under them to try to give them some relationship, but really, I mean, I like kind of the textures I did and how they came out from the point of view. They do look like snails and everything, but they're pretty minimal effort. And this guy is Flying Fox. They have a wingspan of something like 5 feet, which just blows my mind. And he's okay. I mean, I am learning. I don't know how much to say about him. It was late and I was tired, so I didn't have a lot of time. But overall, I think the relationships are pretty good, and that's nice. And then the sunflower and the rose, I think I was still suffering from the same thing, especially in the sunflower, of outlining everything. And I like the center of the sunflower, though. I think that worked pretty well. And some of the shading in the rose. Something to work on. And then, oh, this was fun. I was craving color. So these are back to those Tombow brush pens. And what this is a representation of what I see when I get hit by migraine aura. I suffer from migraines. Luckily nowadays, mostly I get the aura, and as long as I close my eyes and rest in a dark room while I have the aura, I usually don't get the headache, which is nice. But this is just an idea, an attempt to represent kind of what it does to my field of vision. So I thought it was interesting from that view. Hey, Nicola. Nope. Okay, he's going to be there. And then this one, I was trying to riff off of medieval art in medieval manuscripts, and so there's this mythical medieval creature, a griffin, and I'm actually kind of proud of the fact that I actually managed to leave the little white lines white and not go over them. I I have a tendency to forget that I wanted to leave something white and go over it and then be frustrated, but this time I was actually successful and careful, and so I'm pretty proud about that. I'm learning to be patient and precise and careful. I did a video on this one. This was using the Tombow ink pen and then an aqua pen, which I had never used before. So it was a fun experiment. I like the way it came out. It kind of makes me think of Narnia, a wintry, stark, slightly fantasy kind of thing. And then here I feel like I'm finally starting to really get the hang of the ink pens. This is a heliconia, which is a flower. It's based on a photograph I took in Hawaii. They're beautiful. They're red flowers. The leaf I added, and you can tell it looks pretty flat. But the heliconia flower itself, I like the way it's coming out towards you. I think I succeeded there pretty well. And then I love the contrast between these two. The ballet shoes with the stillness and the strength it kind of shows, and the clean, simple lines, and then the gesture drawing just showing the life and fire and freedom of the dance. So kind of the strength and the freedom of dance. I really like these two together, almost more than I like each of them individually. And then this was done with India ink and a paintbrush, and I used artist's masticing fluid to do the dots in the cactus, and then basically used India ink like paint to do the rest of it, and I'm pretty happy with it. And then just a silhouette of a cat, kind of reminiscent of the, I think it's Gajafal poster, famous poster, but, or maybe it's Moulin Rouge. But anyway, it's a silhouette of a cat. I like the yellow eyes. And then here I'm referring back to that Skelly app. I wanted to look a little bit about the shape of the pelvis and how the legs attach and how the spine comes out. So I went into the Skelly app and set this up, and this picture is based on that. This I did a movie on, and it's just working wet into wet with a couple of different dilutions of India ink and a paintbrush. And I saw basically the scene looking out my window a couple of days beforehand and thought I would try to do it. I used a little bit of the Tombow marker, scribbled on a plate, diluted it in water to make the moon glow. And unfortunately I tore the paper a little bit, taking the resist off, which is too bad, but I think it works still even with that. There's always a little bit of schmutz on the face of the moon. So I kind of like it. I'm pretty happy with it. I like the way the ink spread vertically as well as horizontally when I put in the lines, and then the texture of the page took it. It makes it nice and murky and mysterious. And then I have no idea why I decided to do a camel. It just felt like the thing to do. I did him kind of in a messy, scribbly style on purpose, although I'm not sure that it was successful. I think it kind of actually just looks like I was being messy, but I like his face. He's cute. And then for the final one, I used the Tombow brush marker for the nails. I used the artist's pen just to do kind of the outlines, back to those outlines, and then I used India ink and a paintbrush to fill in the glow hand. And the reference I used for both of these were photographs I found on the internet. And I think it worked pretty well. You can get away with a bit more inaccuracy doing something like this because it's supposed to be monstrous. So the relationship's not being quite right and the fingers being elongated and stuff actually helps rather than hurts. So yeah, that was 31 pictures in 31 days, and I did it. I'm very proud of myself. I think that I learned a great deal. I have some that I really don't like, but some that I think are pretty good that I can be proud of. And I'm pretty happy overall. So let me know what you think. And as always, thank you so much for coming and listening to me ramble on. And take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much.